Hello and welcome to Chatz, a television podcast, Season 13, Part 5, Chats of Prey. This is the 5th series in our season on shows misfortunate enough to be canceled before airing their 13th episode, which we've been calling 13 Under 13. Because it's like 30 Under 30. I don't know if that 13 going on 30 is a whole different thing. But that's a good movie. My name is Magellan, and I'd love to drown my sorrows with a fruity soda. And my partner, it's Alan.
Do you want to drown your sorrows with me? Is that?
Yeah, I realized there was a attribution, whatever that is, agreement. I don't know what the grammatical problem is, but
I think verb.
I think it was verb. No, I want to drown my sorrows with you. Like you're with me.
Okay. Am I recording?
And I want to drink you.
Okay.
Huh?
I said, am I recording? I am. Don't worry about it.
Okay, well, that's good. How's it
How's
going?
it hanging?
Do you have a fruity soda with you?
I have a green tea. A homemade a cup of green tea.
Do you want to know what I have?
Is it a fruity soda?
I should have got a fruity soda, but no, it's a Polar Premium Seltzer.
Seltzer.
Guess the flavor.
Black cherry.
Not a bad guess. It's wrong. 2 more guesses.
I drank a Polar today for lunch. Google's every Polar flavor.
It's pretty light lunch.
Listen, it's got no sugar. Cranberry clementine.
No, not a bad guess. It's a 3-word flavor. See if anybody can win the home game.
The Polar home game, and you get a free case of Polar if you get it right on the first try. Ruby red grapefruit.
Not a bad guess. I had to check to make sure that was 3 words because, grapefruit is 1 word. No, it is ginger lime mule is the flavor.
Oh, it smells kind of good.
Ginger lime mule. It's very nice.
I had black cherry.
And that's a Polar seltzer.
Why are you saying it like that?
I'm trying to do the same amount of product placement that Birds of Prey does.
Yeah, I just want to try a delicious But no, wait. Seltzer. How do you pronounce that word?
Seltzer.
Okay, you were saying seltzer.
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 What did
you were
I say?
saying seltzer. There's a T in there, Huffy.
I don't say seltzer. Polar seltzer?
Yeah, you were saying seltzer.
I didn't say seltzer.
Play it back, Alan. Editor Alan. Loop that one back.
Seltzer. You're going to hear that T crisp and taut.
I'm going to cut it out. If it's crisp and taut, I'm going to cut it so I'm right.
Seltzer. Anyway, hey everybody, welcome to our podcast where we watch 2 episodes of the 2002 canceled before its time show, Birds of Prey. We watched 2 episodes this week, as we always do. Birds of Prey episode 5, Sins of the Mother, and Birds of Prey episode 6, Primal Scream. Alan, how are you?
Oh, he asked it on a delay, listener. I was telling John that sometimes it helps me focus when we podcast if I look at something. So sometimes I have this like AirPods case that's Kirby, the Nintendo character Kirby, and I'll look at that and pretend it's Magellan.
Cute.
See,
what a nice avatar.
Yeah, he's got little eyes. But today I turned my own camera on Discord so I can look at myself to make sure I'm conscious and paying attention. It's working so far, and I look really cute. But John doesn't have his on, though, so I am looking at myself.
I think if I was looking at myself, it would have the opposite effect.
I know.
So I applaud you for being able to. Okay.
You're funny, dude. Why are you funny?
First episode, Sins of the Mother. Story by Melissa Rosenberg and Hans Tobiesen. Directed by Jeff Woolnough. It aired on November 6th, 2002. Alan, what happened in Sins of the Mother?
Well, John, I'm glad you asked. In this episode, another bird, Black Canary, flies home to the nest and just happens to be Dinah's mother. As Mama Bird and her chick try to get reacquainted, the evil Mr. Hawk comes around hunting for the canary. Basically, we get the introduction of Dinah's mother and the reveal that she was the original Black Canary, exactly as I predicted. I had not read ahead when I saw that, but I read ahead when we were reading the summaries last week. That's why I didn't say this one, I think. Or I talked around it. No, I talked around the next one because it mentions what happens in this one.
Oh, right.
Also, I figured, like, everyone else is somebody's kid. She's probably going to be someone's kid. And like A to Z, I was like, okay, what famous person is going to be this person's parent? And I was not disappointed by that. I think the issue with Birds of Prey and a dramatic plotline like this is that the show is like, so it's just lit a certain way. It feels and looks a certain like chill, relaxed way. I watch chat shows on Sunday mornings because we record on Monday nights now. So it's like the first thing I do, like I get up, I eat my breakfast, and I watch chat. It's like, Sunday morning cartoons, except they're never cartoons. And I'm like, okay, this is like nice and relaxing. And then Dinah is like, I never had a mother figure in my life. You abandoned me. And I'm like, I'm not bought in. I know you're acting well, but the way this show looks, it's making me feel like I'm in a chill, like teen hangout story, and you're bringing melodrama.
Right, it's a pretty slick looking show. Yeah,
you're bringing a level of melodrama that I'm just not jiving with. So I didn't feel emotionally invested in the like Dinah and Carol and stuff. But I think the plot of this episode on paper is great, and I'm glad that they did it, even if it ends a little bit rote.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's a really interesting attempt here, because I think what ends up being the most fascinating about this plot is everything that's happening around it as opposed to the plot itself. Because, this is a show that's coming out in 2002 at a time where it can't necessarily count on all of its viewers being people who are viewing it in order and are watching all of the previous episodes. And so they have to, like, nowadays we'd probably be getting clues and mentions of Black Canary for a couple episodes before she shows up. Oh my gosh, she's here. And then maybe she sticks around for a little while before we end up doing what happens to her in this episode, which is spoilers. We kill her off by the end of the episode. And so it's just one of those things from this era of television where serialization is becoming more acceptable and expected in dramas like this, but we still have to do these sorts of plots in a way where they can be contained to a single episode. And then the only bearing that they need to have on future episodes is a character can be like, hey, by the way, viewer, just so you know, my mom just died. Anyway, that's what's going on with me. And it ends up creating a plot that kind of feels like it doesn't have a future or a past, which is weird, except it does. And those are the most interesting things that it's trying to build.
Do you think Drake wouldn't like this episode?
Yeah, I thought I could slip in that Drizzy reference, that a little bit of Aubrey for you. Okay.
Okay.
Champagne Poppy,
if you will.
If you will. And I will.
The character, the villain of this episode, sort of an Aubrey Graham type person.
Oh my God.
Meditating.
Listen, from that point forward, nothing was the same.
Oh man.
In our episode.
If you're reading this, it's too late.
Yeah. This is a certified terrible episode.
Oh my God. Wow. Certified lover episode.
Of our show, not a bird.
Yeah. Bad podcast. Bad podcast.
Bod podcast. The podcast.
No, the villain is Hawk, who's a yoga man. He's an old guy who does yoga, and he's bad, and
he's a gangster who does yoga or something.
That's it.
What in the world are we doing not making Harley Quinn the villain of every episode?
Well, as we see in the second episode, Harley Quinn is constantly stewing in the background. But
I know.
But we introduce Hawk so that we have a plot twist of, this episode's about parentage. And we get the show's stupidest plot twist so far.
What's up?
Did you catch the ending of the episode? Or are you asking me to tell the listener? Do you know
a little of both?
Do you know who Hawk is related to?
Well, his dad is Hawk also.
Yeah, but he's also, doesn't he, when he's in the hospital at the end, he talks to Reese, and because Reese knows who the bad guy was.
Oh.
And Reese is like, thanks, Dad. You didn't catch that? I guess it's one scene, and it's kind of brief. Yeah, Reese.
I think I wasn't paying attention during that.
Oh, brother.
Sorry to say.
How many boos can I insert in this section of the episode from John?
Okay, so this is like the second major ongoing villain.
This guy Hawk
show, I guess.
survives the explosion
I see.
that kills kills Black Canary.
Right. That kills Black Canary.
The whole time, if you're paying attention to the scenes with Reese, he's like, I know who did this. I know a crime lord is back. And you're like, what's going on? What do you know? What are you talking about? You know. And at the end, he goes to talk to him, and they like have a little thing. And then Reese literally says like, thanks, father. It's like, uh-oh.
Something going on with our boy Reese. I guess we'll find out what later.
Yeah. Maybe he's investigating. Maybe he's pretending to be stupid so that he can get in with Helena and take down the birds of prey or something for his dad. Who knows? But yeah, the episode is mostly concerned with Dinah and her mom. Dinah is developing new powers, again, as a like thing to give her to do. She now has telekinesis, which is pretty fun. They do a cute scene in the bar where she gets that aforementioned fruity drink and levitates it or like vibrates it really quick. And the guy whose name Gibson is like, huh? What the? Oh my God, are you some sort of? Do you have telekinesis? Huh? That scene is funny for a couple reasons. Number one, John Arsaris in a fruity soda is funny.
Yeah.
Number two, she has escaped the Birds of Prey combat because she's mad about the whole like my mom wants to be my mom thing, even though she abandoned me. Right. And the way he communicates to Helena, or to Oracle rather, that she's here, is under the bar. He has a whole ass laptop with a word. It looks like he's opening up Microsoft Notepad, and he just writes, "She's here," and then it says "email sent." It's sick. I wish there was more bad technology stuff like that in the show.
I really liked it. I was worried that Gibson working with the bad guys, but no, he's just a cool guy. We're cool, except the fact that he's like kind of a creepy guy, which is not as cool.
Yes.
But
yeah, creepiest line from Gibson, by the way. You caught this? So he has a perfect memory.
Right.
He says, I remember my mother's womb. No doubt the root of my claustrophobia. Excuse me.
Less. Yeah, you do you.
It's one of those things that makes it funny in a comic book because you can just go like, ha ha ha, next page.
Yeah, you don't have to listen to a real ass guy say it.
Exactly. You're like, excuse me. You remember being in the womb. Gross.
You have to watch somebody's face move as those words come out of their mouth.
You have to watch, and you have to when you're TV brained, you have to understand that they probably said that line like 15 times.
Yeah, right.
At least.
That's funny.
So really weird. But I read my notes like I feel like we gave Dinah telekinesis just so she would have more things to do, like just to be involved in the plot more than telling Helena like, hey, stop being a lone wolf, like she does in the second episode.
Well, was it telekinesis or was it like her developing her cry?
No, telekinesis.
She's not shaking the cup because she's like yelling.
She's lightly yelling. No, I think it's telekinesis.
Okay.
They specifically say telekinesis. That's the word that they use.
Got it.
They're just giving her more power sets from Black Canary, but her mom is the one who has the famous canary cry.
Which looks really cool, I think. These like waves of yellow glowing across the screen. I liked what they did with that.
They did their best. It's again, you're adapting a Scream. How do you make a Scream look cool?
Yeah.
And I think that they did well enough by it.
I like that they went really...
I also like that they hyped out the canary cry.
Right. Yeah. This is a cool move, signature move. I like that they chose to go kind of surreal. This is clearly not supposed to look like anything, but it's the way it would look in a comic book kind of thing. That works.
And in the scene at the end when she's tied up and she does it, her ropes loosen up, and it's like, what does the canary cry do? Does it just does it push things? Like, because if it's a push, then I guess it makes sense that it like pushed her ropes off of her body, but that's really weird.
Right.
It frees her basically. It saves her day. It saves the day at the end.
Yeah.
Well, Dinah saves the day first, and then Canary saves herself. But she's captured by what's his face?
Hawk.
By Hawk. The show refuses to not have names beyond the nose. Again, very comic booky. Hawk, Birds of Prey, Black Canary.
Right.
It's all very, very much on the nose. And it's just like it's a lot of like soap opera-y, teen drama-y writing.
Yeah.
Where Caroline's like, I want to be in your life again. I know I abandoned you and it was the worst decision of my life. I feel so shitty about it. And Lori Loughlin, I think, is doing the best with what she's given here.
Mm-hmm.
But and the show almost puts a lampshade on this. Like, we don't know her that well and we don't know why we're supposed to care.
Right.
Like, it's your mother.
Right.
I get that. And we've known that Dinah has, like, issues with her mom.
Mm-hmm.
But we also, like, don't know who Black Canary is, especially as, like, not... Like, if you're an average viewer, not a fan of the comics, that for her to come back, you literally have to have Helena and Barbara be like, oh my god, Black Canary, the famous superhero. You used to beat up bad guys in, like, back in the day. You're my idol. And have Gibson be like, can you sign my thing with a tattoo gun or whatever?
Right.
Like, you need people to tell you why she's important. And because otherwise, I don't vibe with Dinah's like, emotional journey.
Yeah,
here.
there's a lot of telling that's going on here because I think something that's really interesting and cool about the setup of Birds of Prey is this idea that there's like a previous generation of crime fighters and now we're in kind of this like second wave. But we haven't really gotten the sense that the previous wave was anybody other than Batman. And so,
yeah.
And Catwoman, and we know that Barbara was Batgirl at one point. So like, we're kind of filling in that backstory, but we don't really understand the shape of it. And it seems like the metahuman stuff is maybe supposed to be kind of new to the broader world or something. So it's like a bit of a retcon to say, and yeah, Black Canary was there and was a part of it too. But I like that they chose to do this for the sake of developing Dinah's character and her relationship with her mom, that her mom is a person who might not have like a relationship with her, but has a really lived in relationship with Barbara and with Helena, because that creates some interesting dynamics among the three of them as they sort of like vie for custody over Dinah's future and have like differing opinions about what exactly that's supposed to look like. And different claims to legitimacy there. I think that makes for a pretty interesting, like you said, almost soap opera like dynamic between the three of them. Mm-hmm. Even though we do have to do some kind of like narrative hoop jumping to get us to that position. But like, it's kind of fun to see Black Canary be staticky towards Huntress and say like, I hated your mom and I hate you too. And then to see her have conversations with Barbara where they have this really nuanced debate. And Barbara's like, well, this is the path that she's chosen. And like, your role is to be there for her. And for Caroline to be like, no, my role is to make sure she doesn't get killed. I don't want her to like get beat up for breakfast and knocked unconscious for dinner or whatever.
Yeah, that's the line.
And then Barbara has this great line where she says, maybe she needs a mentor more than a mother. And that is like such a good distillation of like the philosophical debate that the two of them are having. So I think it's like a little ham-fisted how we get there, but I do think it's interesting when we do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Lori Loughlin's good at a couple things. Number one, college admissions fraud. Number two, I had to.
Well, she's not that good at that.
Clearly not. Oops. Yeah. Rip. And like clapping back. She does that like kind of, oh yeah. That great line that you referred to where I think it's Helena's being like, oh, you were never a mother to her. And she says to Helena, oh, well, what did your mother do? Oh, I forgot. She was too busy stealing your childhood. Which is like such a fucked up thing to say to a woman who's, dealing with the whole Catwoman situation. Right. It was like, okay, like you said, there's a known existing relationship between the other birds and Caroline that like feels tense, but also like it was good at one point. It got worse recently.
Yeah. And I don't know, at least for me, I was expecting that to be further explored in later episodes. Mm-hmm. Not that I felt like Black Canary should have plot armor or something, but there's just enough groundwork here that you want to see her kind of leave and be like, okay, I guess these cool new surrogate mom sisters are good, so you're good. I'll be back. And then you want to see like 10 episodes later, Hawk is alive, awake, and doing nasty stuff, and Black Canary's back. So it felt like a strange choice to me for them to kill her off. I mean, I understand you only get a guest star so many times, or it has to be self-contained, or whatever it is that are like the kind of TV production reality is. And then, as we see in the next episode, it produces some useful bonding between Huntress and Dinah. But it was like a blink and you miss it kind of death. I think both of us in our notes were like, wait a minute.
She died?
Is that it? I guess.
Yeah. Well, when I rewatched the last 10 minutes of this episode, it all happens super quickly between, okay, we're in the factory, she's tied up, oh no, and they have the collar on her neck that like magically works and blocks her powers. Okay, Dinah and company save the day, she's free. Okay, actually, the building is gonna blow up. Okay, actually, she's dead, it blew up, everyone's safe except for her. And then the hospital scene with Reese and his dad, and you're like, okay, episode's over. It just happens like kind of suddenly. I agree, it's probably because you don't keep a guest person on for that long, but why not just make them leave for some reason?
Right.
Like, why bring her on to kill her?
Yeah.
Because it just gives, it kind of like took Dinah's arc, advanced it, and then hard stopped it.
Yes,
where it's like, okay,
exactly.
You figured out that you do want to give your mom another chance. You are ready to accept her, and then she died. That's tragic, but like, we never got a moment of them hanging. And then this is like, there's a scene in this episode where it felt like if they had 5 to 10 more minutes, they would have done something with it. Yeah. Where Caroline is in the bar with Dinah and is like, hey, we both have this thing where we can like read people's brains if we touch them. Do you want to just like Vulcan mind meld with me for a second?
Right.
And we can breach this empathy gap. And she's about to do it. And then Dinah's like, no, I can't. I don't feel comfortable doing it. And it's like, girl, you were so close.
Right.
And that's the tragedy of it, right? It's like you could have had something with your mom before it was taken away like this.
Yeah, I do think that tragedy is compelling and is like kind of a classic comic book type of tragedy to have in a story like this. But
yeah,
they just don't make you believe it before it happens, I guess. Like there's just not enough time, and like you're saying, it's kind of hard to have that serious of a story in a show like this. And so when that moment happens of like, we could have had this bond, but now she's gone. I don't know. As a viewer, I was like, I don't know, like bring her back 1 or 2 more times before we do that. And then I'll feel that sense of loss, I guess.
Of like, I keep trying to come back, but my career keeps pulling me away. Let's see her in like the suit or something. I don't know. Do a little bit more with it, but no, she's gone there and gone before you know it. Yeah. Off to ruin another child in the real world. Sorry, that's my last one. I'm done. She might go to jail. Actually, no, she's right. She's not going to jail. We like to have fun here at Chatz, located in sunny New Gotham City. Yeah, that's pretty much my notes. I mean, like, the villain's kind of fun when he gets to talk about things like how you unbalanced his chi.
Yeah, so
random. I wish they did more with it. I wish he actually was like they leaned into the monk aspect or something. But no, he's just an Italian mobster who happens to be Zen. Helen and Reese have a couple like cute moments. She gives him the communication ring in this episode because phones are for simple girls, or phone numbers rather. Do you think Helena has a cell phone? Probably, yeah. She just doesn't want to give him the number.
Yeah.
I like this aspect of how she's playing with him, where he's like, okay, we clearly like each other, and we clearly have had like several episodes of sexual tension. Can we? She's like, no. He's like, can we have a little? And she's like, no. And he's like, can you tell me your name? She's like, no. She gives him nothing.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Because it's a rare one of these relationships where the woman is like fully in control of how fast things progress. He's not like,
yeah,
all right, it's time for us to, I like you and we're gonna date. It's like, no, you don't decide when that happens, buddy.
Right.
And plot thread that is not gonna likely go anywhere in the next however many episodes. Reese talk, presumably related.
Yeah,
assuming I understood the last scene correctly.
Uh-huh.
Stray notes?
Yeah, I had a couple. So in your notes, you said that My Remedy is not the actual theme of the show?
Yeah, so when I was editing Chatz of Prey 01, I looked up Birds of Prey theme song, expecting to find My Remedy. And I found this, like, you guys can hear it. It's the theme song to this podcast. And the break music is My Remedy, because I wanted to actually have it be accurate to how the show came out. But yeah, the My Remedy was like and a bunch of the other music was taken out due to licensing issues. And from the comments on YouTube, it sounds like the other stuff was much more nu metal-y, and they replaced it with more of a like CW romance. Like My Remedy is a very like One Tree Hill, Dawson's Creek, Gilmore Girls-y song.
Right.
And it sounds like, and the original theme song is super not that. It's way more badass.
Yeah, when I listened to the first Chats of Prey episode come out, I was like, what the heck? What is this song? What is Alan doing? But you knew what you were doing, of course.
That was the one that actually aired with the show, yeah.
Wow, I don't like it as much as the cheesy teen drama one.
Yeah, it tells you what tone you're gonna expect.
Yeah.
What else you got, big man?
I really liked Barbara in this episode, and there were a couple moments where she's interacting with Dinah, I think, that I really liked. So I think across both of these episodes, they do a better job of depicting Barbara and her disability, because she has this line in this one where she says, not being able to walk doesn't change why I do what I do, just how I do it, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then there's this amazing scene where, in line with Barbara, I love that Barbara's defining her role with Dinah as like, I am your mentor, and that is a thing that is like deeply meaningful to me that I understand how to carry out, because like that's who Barbara was. She was the mentee to Batman at one point, so she has this like really ingrained sense of like, this is how you have this sort of relationship with a young person who you're bringing into this work, this calling, this mission, whatever you want to call it. And Dinah is like really scared because her mom has been captured. And there's this amazing scene where Barbara is looking at her and she's like, Dinah, this is the work. Like, this is what we do.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck yeah. What? This is awesome. She says, this is the job, is what she says. This is the job. And I just thought that was such a cool moment. And I like that that's where they're going with making the Barbara Dinah relationship really explicit, because we've seen plenty of scenes, and we see some in the next episode, of the way that Huntress mentors Dinah, which is tender and important in its own way, but it's very different. And the way that Barbara does it and frames it in terms of this like higher calling that's beyond the two of them, and is the thing that they're like sworn to do. I just thought that was so cool.
And isn't that the tragedy of the Bat family, right? Is what they all really need is family. Is not a mentor. Is not a person to train you and like do nunchuck training or with you, like whatever she does at the beginning. But for someone to like be Caroline, to be a mother, that's like the core tragedy of this whole fucked up found family.
Yeah.
And of this episode is that actually Dinah finally was going to have that, and she's already like too far down the hole. She wants to be part of this like found family, which is beautiful and sad at the same time, I think.
And I guess it's part of the reason that we had to kill Black Canary, is because it's like the rite of passage of being a part of the Bat family, which is kind of a horrible thing to think about.
You have to lose your real family. Yeah, that's, sad but true.
But anyway, I thought it was a pretty good episode. I'm excited to talk about the next one too.
Yeah, I have a couple quickies. Something I keep noticing in the intro is that the final shot before they show like the Birds of Prey logo is the three birds like high-fiving or like going in for a huddle. And Oracle is in her is adult Dina Meyer in her Batgirl costume standing up. And I have this like paranoia
that's not from
in the back
like
of my
the
head.
dream sequence in episode 1 or whatever.
So I guess, but were the three of them in that dream sequence?
I think at one point, but it was like black and white.
I want to believe that, but what I'm concerned about is if by the like last couple episodes of the show, they like get rid of her disability and make her Batgirl again.
Right.
It's not. You gotta let her be disabled, guys. It's way more interesting for her character.
Yeah.
So just a thought. And the reason I think that is because when these theme songs get made, they're always pulling from footage from the show. They don't make footage for the theme song generally.
Right.
So that's why I feel that way. But I'm just my pet theory that I hope doesn't prove right. You mentioned the My Remedy thing. My last one was just briefly, Reese talked to his partner in this episode before his partner brutally dies in the next one. And he says, stop being Mr. Negative, which is another Marvel crime Because that's a Marvel guy, right? That's a Spider-Man villain. I guess it's just a thing. It's the opposite, right? Where you call someone Mr. Negative, and then they later in the comics made a character named Mr. Negative. So I'm kind of being silly, but also, wait, was Mr. Negative introduced in 2007? Is that true? I don't know. I'm not going to look into this. Don't worry about it. Correct me if you know the answer at home. Sometimes when you do a podcast, you just have to accept that Google is your worst enemy, and you shouldn't Google every question you have. So, anyways, moving on.
The shot that you were talking about, is that the one where they like put all their hands together in like the prologue part? I think I'm recognizing that from the dream sequence in episode 1.
That's even weirder.
Yeah.
That's even weirder that they put it in the theme song.
Yeah.
The dream it's like Power Rangers Time Force making you think it's a time travel show and they actually just filmed an episode on a movie set. So they could be like, they go to the Wild West and they go to space and they go to blah blah. It's like they just went to movie sets. They didn't go into the future or the past.
Yeah.
Like Drake. We brought it back, baby. We brought it back. And we will now bring it to a brief musical break. And then we'll be back to discuss Primal Scream. Welcome back to Chats of Prey, the #1 Birds of Prey podcast this side of New Gotham City. That's right, folks. If you listened to last week, you know that I wasn't able to say that correctly before, and this time, I got it on the first take. Has my heart been racing thinking about delivering that take perfectly for the last 15 minutes? You'll have to listen to find out. I'm still on, and that's Magellan. What's up, pal?
Hey, what's up? Sorry, I'm just in a deep Wikipedia rabbit hole trying to learn more about Matt Dallas of Kyle XY fame.
Listener, for those of you who aren't the two of us, which is all of you, Magellan and I have spent the last, looks at clock, 10 minutes with the mics hot and recording, just like going down rabbit holes about like, oh, how long was Smallville? Oh, how long was The New Adventures of Superman? What about Kyle XY? And here we are. Magellan's Googling Matt Dallas notes.
He was in the James Blunt music video for Goodbye, My Lover.
James Blunt
and the
more
Katy
than one
Perry music video for Thinking of You. Did you say James Blunt had more than one song?
Yeah, 'cause he has
this is a veteran you're talking about. A veteran of the British Army.
You're beautiful. That's not true. It's true.
It is true. He was a former reconnaissance officer in the Life Guards Regiment of the British Army. He served under NATO during the 1999 Kosovo War.
There must be
James Blunt.
With smile on her face.
James Blunt has an honorary doctorate of music in 2016 from the University of Bristol.
Flying high. In that video, he sits on a block of ice and takes his clothes off slowly while it gets snowed on. That's the You're Beautiful video. It's really good.
Oh, that's pretty fun.
Anyways, let's talk about Birds of Prey. Yeah?
Let's do it.
Okay, great. We're talking Primal Scream. This episode was written by Julie Hess and David H. Goodman. It was directed by Craig Zisk and it aired November 13th, 2002. Magellan, what happened in Primal Scream?
In this episode, working with her favorite detective Reese, Huntress goes undercover in the Animal Gang, a group of adrenaline-seeking criminals wearing animal masks. Struggling after the death of her mother, Dinah wants in on the gig to prove she's worthy of superheroine plumage.
Wow.
Alan, what'd you think of Primal Scream?
All the stuff with the Animal Gang reminded me of that arc of Twin Peaks: The Return where he gets into arm wrestling.
What a reduction of what that arc is.
Yeah. That feeling when you watch the show. I mean, it's the same as people being like, Twin Peaks, it's about coffee and pie. Like,
right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, all of the bad Coop stuff was about arm wrestling.
That's correct. No, it was the gang stuff is very goofy in that aughts way that we do love and crave constantly.
Yeah, exactly right.
I thought it was interesting that the show actually tried to like have people talk about how weird it is that Reese and Huntress have been working together, and she is a criminal and a vigilante, and he is and who works undercover and stuff, and he is a cop, and also the son of a mobster. Spoiler alert. So it was like that stuff was kind of interesting. Dinah actually engaging with her grief was great. I think that was a emotional highlight of this episode, but ultimately, I mean, the thing about the gang is that the main leader, Colin, which is a bad name for a gang leader, is just not like scary at all. They just seem really silly. So all of this stuff about like Helena being like, oh my god, like I'm running on the edge and I'm going solo. I'm gonna go take them down by myself. He's like, these are a bunch of furries. They're a bunch of like fun-loving furries who like to steal things from nightclubs. I don't know what you're afraid of. So dramatically, it was not the greatest, but I had a lot of fun with it. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're trying to walk a pretty narrow line here with the Helena story, because they want her to like feasibly be a part of this group, and it needs to make sense that they're harmless. Like, it needs to make sense to us that she believes that, while also making them the bad guys of the episode who are capable of kidnapping Reese and doing mean stuff and almost killing his partner. And that's just a balance that's like pretty hard to strike. And I think they end up leaning towards the side of like, they seem like a bunch of street toughs.
Yeah, she's in with the bad gang.
Yeah, it's sort of like, I don't want you hanging around with those kids anymore, as opposed to like they're genuine bad guys, which is fine with me. Like, I'm happy for this show to be campy in that way. And I enjoyed the episode, I would say. Like,
how weird would this episode be if the gang was actually like murdering people and they were like, you have to pull the trigger, Helena, if you want to join.
Yeah, that would be bad. Yeah. That would be a bad episode.
It's not the show. It's not the show at all.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny opening episode with the whole infiltration and the fake out of like they drive their bikes into a nightclub, and you're like, that's a really inefficient place to rob people. Like a crowded space when you're bringing like small vehicles in there. Okay. And they rob everyone, and then see you later, losers. Pulls off her helmet. It's Helena. Oh my god. Is she suddenly a criminal? 5 minutes later, no, she's working undercover. Don't worry about it.
Right. I was walking around with the episode playing on my phone, and I was like looking at where I was walking, and then I looked down, and it's like, wait, hold on, what's happening? I'm in a nightclub, and there's like a wolf with a gun, and everything is like slow and orange. I don't understand what's happening. What is this show?
Yeah, also this whole scene is in like slow-mo, which looks really rough because it's like low frame rate slow-mo. I don't know.
Yeah, it's choppy.
It looks super choppy. I thought my video was effed up or something. We get a brief bit of Barbara stuff before we dig into the undercover brother plot.
I sensed that Wade was coming back this episode.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it, right?
Feel this guy's plot energy coming in.
He can't be avoided. He's just an unavoidable force of
It's weird that there's no conversation about his parents. I mean, I understand that this show is like lightly serialized. They only are going to do so much of that. But, you know, like Barbara, she says, oh, maybe we could just be friends. But the episode doesn't really remind us of why she would be saying such a thing. And so it's like, is this because of your like crime fighting life? Is this because of his incredibly shitty parents? Like, what's the thing here? And then Wade just like totally rizzes out, or whatever the Gen Z kids would say here. I brought my girlfriend with me to Saturday school. Like, we do extra school sometimes on Saturday because kids are getting ready to submit their AP projects.
Right.
And some of my students were like, I like went to the side of the room and spoke to my girlfriend, and some of my students were like, Mr. Flug, you totally like rizzed her up. You were rizzing up your girlfriend. And I was like, guys, I was speaking to her. What are you talking about?
It's called having a conversation. That's
and they're
very
like,
sweet.
no, you're an absolute Rizzler. You're the Wizard of Oz. All right, okay.
The what?
Gen Z is having a time of it.
Wade
I
is also having a time.
other Gen Z moment real quick, and then let's talk about Wade and what he's doing. Today in class, one of my students was like singing a song to himself, and the girl sitting next to him goes, "That's a song from Birds of Prey. That's my favorite movie."
Oh my god!
And then there was like a moment of pause, and then she goes, "We just like bonded." It was awesome. It's very cute.
I still really need to fucking watch it, man.
Well, that one student has given it a seal of approval, so.
This is the annoying thing about 13 to 13 is I'm the kind of person that likes to collect the paraphernalia of the series that we're watching while we're watching it.
Yeah.
But when they don't go long enough, I don't have time. I have a volume of Birds of Prey right here on my desk. Nick sent me the unaired pilot so I can watch the unaired pilot with Sherilyn Fenn as Harley Quinn.
No, what? Are you kidding?
Fenn as Harley Quinn, yes, dude. Yes.
I mean, Mia Sarah's great, but are you joking with me right now?
Sherilyn Fenn was Harley Quinn, and they recast her. Isn't that?
No, they fucking did not do that. Oh my goodness!
Wild.
I mean, we can artificially lengthen this season.
Yeah,
it's our show.
Do whatever
you know
the heck
what I mean?
we
can
want.
do whatever the heck we want. We can have an episode where we watch the movie. We can have an episode where we watch the Keaton Batman movies.
Yeah, I also want to play. I want to watch the Keaton Batman movies. I want to watch Birds of Prey 2020.
Let's talk. Let's talk after this. Let's talk.
Yeah, talk to me. Speak to me after class, please.
Because I don't. There's not going to be any other Chatz main feed opportunity for us to ever do this stuff, right?
Sure.
Unless we watch Batman the animated series or something, which I don't see us. Well.
Oh.
Huh?
Listen, I watched. Oh, I did. Speaking of things like extracurricular activity, I did also watch the first appearance of Harley Quinn in that show recently.
Ah,
that episode is fantastic. By the way, folks.
Which one?
It's called. We looked it up on the last episode. I forget what the name of it is.
It's like her origin story where she is the Joker's doctor.
No. It's called Joker's Favor. It's from season 1, I think. And she's in her first episode. She's just introduced as like, hey, it's Harley Quinn, and she exists.
Oh, okay, got
They
it.
probably do an origin story episode for her later, but her first episode is just
do.
like, it's such a funny premise. Like the Joker's Favor storyline is awesome and kind of fucked up if you think about it. But I'll talk about it later.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Wade. Sorry, we went way off track.
There really isn't too much to say. For the main thing, the main energy, Barbara Gordon Chalkboard Watch. Part 2, The Reckoning. She's teaching Gabriel Garcia Marquez in this unit of her class. What is this class and where can I take it? What's the book?
Was the reason that she wrote that to show us that she's feeling lonely or something? And then the guy comes in and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" I don't know. It's just such a random book.
100 Years of Solitude, yeah.
100 Years of Solitude. Not that I have ever read it. I've read like the first chapter or something, so I don't actually know if it thematically relates to this episode at all. But it doesn't feel like it does.
Yeah, I don't think it does. I think that was just a background detail that we caught. That's kind of fun. I think I've also probably read part of it.
I also thought she was like a counselor.
Maybe you're getting her mixed up with like
wrong?
Helena and Harleen and all that.
Maybe
she counsels students. I know you also sometimes like help students out with stuff that's outside of your just being a teacher duties.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Sure,
a little bit. But basically, yeah, Wade is like, hey, we're gonna like go out on a date, and she's like, I think we should just be friends, and at least for now, let's take things slow. And he says, slow, my favorite speed, which is weird, and then weirder, and this is the part that she then tells her friends. Is they end up hooking up, right? They have sex. And this is the part where I need to mention that I happened to watch this episode with my dad. And I was like, slam dunk, baby. I got Tubi up on my parents' television. It's a 2002 comic book show. He's probably going to fall asleep when like some wacky action movie shit happens. No action movie shit happens in this episode, literally at all. Instead, we get characters out loud saying multiple times.
There is.
Yes, that's true. But he was asleep by then. But before that, you just get people being like, "You had sex? Oh my god, you had sex with him?" On this like teen drama show. And
there's also
Wade
tons of lines that are innuendo lines too.
Innuendo,
throughout the
exactly.
episode. Yeah, exactly.
He says, I feel like I just want to take care of you, which is the most fucked up thing to say to a person, period.
Right.
Add on to that every other way. And it's nice that she tells everyone else, like, yeah, that was weird. And I wish she would just fucking drop Wade like a sack of potatoes, man.
The vibes are off. They continue to be off with this guy.
I wonder what they would have done with him over a longer term.
I don't know. I guess we'll see the beginnings of it. But I like, that's again a moment in these two episodes where I think they are doing interesting things with Barbara, because she's like, well, did he say this because I'm in a wheelchair? Is he just like
weird or nice?
Yeah, like, is it kind of like a condescending man to woman thing? Like, what? What was that? I like that it just is so, it's like this microaggressive, like, I guess it was good, but I don't really know what to make of that. I thought that was a very believable kind of shittiness that Barbara would experience.
And like a mature adult kind of shittiness too. That's not like a thing your boyfriend says to you in high school. He doesn't say like, I want to take care of you. It's like, oh, this is going to have to be a conversation soon, isn't it? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically the Wade update of the week. We don't really get more from him here.
Yeah.
We get more of the furry gang. My dad said that Colin, the gang leader, looks like Tom Cruise. Because if like Tom Cruise had a blonde wig.
That's nice. Something that I thought about as you were describing the Barbara Wade plot is the way that it kind of parallels, like, he kisses her in a way where you're like, whoa, wait a minute, was now the time to kiss her? And then there's that scene later where Colin forces a kiss on Huntress, and I just think it's interesting that both of those scenes are in the same episode.
Course of kissing, right.
And like, what is that saying? I think that there's like a kind of subtle echoing parallelism thing that's going on there. But anyway,
speaking of weird sexual politics, I guess another way that she integrates, she started talking to Reese, being like, hey, we're going to integrate, we're going to take out Colin, we're going to find out if he's working for anyone. This is going to be awesome. Slam dunk of a mission right now. You know, the other birds are worrying about a cop working with a person, and then the strip poker scene happens and my brain goes into overdrive.
Now, was your dad asleep at this point, or he's
no,
still
sir? He was wide awake. This is the worst fucking episode to show to my dad. I can't believe it. I was embarrassed. I come to you 28 years of age, dear listener, and I felt like I was 10 years old. My dad caught me watching porn. That's what that felt like. It's like, oh. No, it's not usually this stupid. I mean, it's always horny, but not like it's literally strip poker.
Well, and yeah, like I said before, every other line between Huntress and Reese is like, well, is this our second date? Are we like making out yet? And
I like it rough.
She's
You're gonna
like,
take me out.
Yeah, I think I just got to second base with the bad guys. Oh, what? Nothing like the bad guys. Like nothing like chains to bring people's honesty out. Or whatever. Every other line in this episode is so horny. It's pretty funny.
It radiates it. And in all of this, we find out that Colin's secretly working for someone else. It goes all the way up to Harley Quinn, which Huntress realizes pretty quickly and tells the girls. There is another girl in the animal gang who sees Colin making moves on Helena and presumably, based on the way the camera frames her, is like jealous.
This really bothered me because there's so little of her talking and so many, very, very many reaction shots of her being upset and jealous, and that just felt
real bad,
stupid to me. That felt stupid to me.
Same here. And it doesn't even pay. Oh, I guess it does. Doesn't it pay off sort of a little bit?
I mean, that presumably that jealousy is like the thing that she ends up like following Helena around and sees her talking to Reese. So it's that gets her cover blown or whatever. And then there's the moment where Huntress is like beating them up at the end, and then she's gonna go fight that girl, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna enjoy this." And it's like, was this a reciprocated rivalry? What is happening here?
Again, if the show came out today, this would be like a 6-episode arc where she does the infiltration stuff, and this girl has a name and a backstory, and we understand her pathos and blah blah blah, and then this all happens.
Right. But instead she gets like 2 lines and a lot of like
yes. Dinah keeps being like, Helena, you're about to finish this mission and I have not done anything this episode. Can you stop being a lone wolf for maybe 5-10 seconds? Would that be nice? She's like, I work alone. I sacrifice myself alone. I die alone. Wait, hold on. So Dinah tries to help her by scouting people and finds that, she got tased. Reese is here. Harley Quinn's here. This is bad. Everything's bad. Huntress ends up getting tied up and fighting people with her legs, which is sick. Dinah comes in to save the day with this, like, I think she breaks a pool cue in half. She gets to do a little bit of combat stuff. And then the ultimate action hero move is fucking Reese comes in and does a combat roll into the warehouse and while holding a loaded like single barrel shotgun and and like fires a shotgun into the gang. And I'm like, what the heck? That stunt actor must have done work, dude. That was a cool shot. Why, though? For no reason.
Right.
Because this is all tied into also, like, in the background, our sort of B-plot is Dinah trying to help out more and processing her grief as we get to this, like, final climactic fight. And she saves the day, similar to how, like, she saved the day for Caroline and vice versa. I do like Dinah processing this stuff, starting with the whole like, I can't fight straight, I'm so angry, is like a little goofy, but communicates quickly that like she's not letting herself process this at first.
Yeah, I mean, I think it suffers from some kind of leftover problems from the last episode of just doing that plot way too quickly. And so at the beginning when she's like, guys, I'm fine, I didn't even really know her. I was having a hard time catching on to whether they were really doing that or she's in denial or what.
Yeah.
But then by the end of it, I think they really stuck the landing with this grief plot. And along the way, there were a couple scenes of Barbara being like, I guess she's at the anger phase, huh?
Yeah.
Which was like kind of dorky. But that last scene, just to skip ahead a little bit, where Dinah and Helena are on the terrace outside of the clock, and they're talking about how they both have dead moms. And Huntress is talking about like, I think there's this like kind of reductive conversation that Alfred and Barbara have about Helena, where they say like maybe she's seduced by crime the way that her mom was. And Alfred's like, well, Batman had a crush on Catwoman, so maybe he was seduced by crime. And they're both like, yeah, I bet she's seduced by crime. And then Helena to Dinah is like, yeah, I just wanted to feel close to my mom and like understand who she was, and this was a way to do that. And there's this amazing exchange where Dinah's like, oh, it must have been really hard to give that up. And I forget the exact preceding line, but then Helena says like, Dinah, your mom really loved you. Like she gave her life for you.
Yeah.
And Dinah says, and I can't even cry for her because I didn't even know her. I was like, whoa, this is good shit right now. This is some characterful stuff. And then they hug and birds of prey.
You're doing the damn thing. And we love these character moments.
My gosh, I love it. I love this tight ensemble and the way that every single one-on-one relationship, they're just adding these layers to them and making them more rich. And it's good stuff. It's good character stuff.
It should have gone on longer. We would have had so much more of it.
Yeah.
I saw somebody posted in our Discord the clip of that they brought Helena back for a Crisis on Infinite Earths like event like a couple of years ago, and getting to just see her in the modern outfit and like doing the stuff and being like, Oracle, come on, pick up the phone or whatever. I was like, I'm not even done with the show and I'm already like, the girls are back.
That's
so
awesome.
happy.
That's so great.
I also think I'm gonna watch the 2020 Birds of Prey and be like, that's not Dina Meyer. What the fuck? I guess that's
Right.
a different vibe. Speaking of Barbara, did you catch the Commissioner Gordon name drop in this episode?
I did catch that.
That was fun. We finally got to hear that Jim exists. She says there was never a better duo than Batman and Commissioner Gordon, which is true. I love the reverence that they have for that. Like, it's almost like they are fans of these people, of their legacy. And they want to create something like that. You have it, Barbara. You are Commissioner Gordon. Just don't be a cop. That's all. Didn't mention it, but McNally, Reese's partner, you said he doesn't die in that exploding van, or he does die?
He doesn't die. There's this whole thing of he's at the hospital right now. Barbara says to Helena, like, hey, it looks like he's going to make it. And then Helena says, no thanks to me. And she's upset, and she goes to talk to Reese about it. And then he's like, my partner's in there hanging on by a thread, and I should never have trusted you. Take your ring back. I hate you.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So nobody really dies, but he's not in great shape.
And Harley continues to be mad about who the fuck keeps infiltrating all my plans. Why does it keep happening that coincidentally the birds of prey are always there when I try to set up something? So she's honing in on the girls. I wonder if that's going to pay off this season. And you didn't mention it, but in that last scene when they talk about grief, Helena also pulls out a Catwoman mask, which was a very cool moment of like acknowledging. Like, she keeps that shit. She keeps it handy. She doesn't wear it,
right?
But she keeps it close by. I love totems of our lost family members. Well, sincerely, I sound like I'm being silly. That actually is a really cool narrative thing.
Yeah.
Any straight ups on this one though? It's a pretty solid episode.
This episode made me want more Harley Quinn Huntress therapy conversations. I think we've gotten a little bit of that, but
yeah, we could drop.
I love the like tension and dramatic irony of like they're talking about Helena's issues, but neither of them know that the other person is their adversary. And I think they could have played that up a little bit more in this one, because they sort of tease us with like, oh, she's gonna meet Harley Quinn, she's gonna meet the boss, and then it's a fake out of actually they're onto her.
Right.
So I think they could have done a little more with that, but I'm glad that it's continuing as a season-long thread. And then you bolded. There were a couple of product placement moments that were funny. One was just like this very obvious Huntress is like walking by the camera holding a box of Pop-Tarts so that it faces us, kind of like turning it out. And then she goes through the whole process of like going to the fridge, getting the milk, popping it in the toaster, getting it hot, bouncing it between her hands because it's too hot. Now I'm going to eat it. I'm ready to go out on the town.
It's bizarre.
It's basically like a Pop-Tart commercial. And then we cut to the next scene, and the woman who is in the gang, it's like, I bought snacks at the corner store. Colin is thumbing through them, and he goes, I was hoping for Cool Ranch. Guys, come on. You cannot do like boom, boom, boom product placement like that.
You do it be a little subtle. No, the funny thing about the Pop-Tarts one is that she's like digging through the pantry looking for, and Oracle's like, what are you looking for? And she's like, it's like midnight, I'm assuming, or something. It's late at night. And she's like, what are you looking for? And she's like, oh, I'm looking for a Pop-Tart. Like, stop. I thought this was a joke, but no, that's just product placement. It's a little corny. When's the last time you had a Pop-Tart?
Within the last month, probably.
I've honestly been feeling the craving.
They're nice. I like them.
Would you cold or toasted?
I usually go cold.
Yeah. Like room temp, or
cold.
Actually you chill them?
Room temp. Room temp. I'm just too lazy to do something else with them.
You're not lazy.
I'm just too excited to eat them.
There you go. Sure.
Positive framing. But I think if I was to do something with them, I would be more interested in a chill than in a.
They never taste. I never felt like they tasted better toasted. It's just a different thing.
Right.
Brown cinnamon sugar though. The corner store near me has Pop-Tarts. I might indulge tomorrow. We'll see. Stay tuned. This episode is not sponsored by Pop-Tarts. But yeah, also they have to collect checks. They got to make the show last. Oops, it didn't work. Oh no. Is that all you have for straight outs, bud? Vlad?
Yeah. That's all I got.
Okay. It was yummy. Great. It's so great. I'm going to tell you what we're watching next time on Chatz. Birds of Chatz. Chatz of Prey. Hey guys, it's Alan. I'm going to actually make this the length of the part that I'm cutting out, which is where we tell you that next week we're watching Star Trek. That's not the case due to some scheduling reconfiguration, mostly to work around an upcoming vacation of mine and the fact that we have all season of Trek to watch. We are pushing Trek Chats 5 another week or so. So next week, we are continuing with our Birds of Prey coverage, and we'll be discussing Split and Lady Shiva. That's episodes 7 and 8 of Birds of Prey 02. So if you're following along at home, that's Split, which is the episode with Huntress's new superhero friend and their adventures together, and Lady Shiva, who is an old villain friend of Barbara's who drops back into New Gotham, and they need to deal with her. So that's what we're watching next week. But if you are keeping up with us, Trek Chats is coming back soon. So send us your Star Trek TNG Season 5 questions, comments, thoughts between now and, let's say, the middle of April. And that'll work out, hopefully, such that we can read them on the recording. But yeah, I'll give it back to Magellan and Alan now. Bye-bye! Magellan, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me in a couple places. You can find me on another podcast called Super Smash Echoes, where myself and my friend Justin play video games related to the Super Smash Brothers franchise and talk about them, and that's quite fun. A lot of good fun had there. Super Smash Echoes, check it out. And then you can read some of my writing on my newsletter, notthatmagellan.substack.com. Subscribe over there, and whenever I feel like it's time to send out one of those, you'll get it in your email inbox. So not Super Smash Echoes, notthatmagellan.substack.com. What about you?
I'm on a couple podcasts, primarily scanlinemedia.com. I'm on the Creature Quorum. It's a comedy podcast where my friend Six and I talk about monsters from Monster Hunter and Pokemon. We've been putting out a lot of very fun episodes of that recently. We are hoping to bring back our Korean game show watch / backstory / sci-fi / fantasy fiction podcast, The Garnet Wager, soon. So stick tuned to that feed, the Garnet Wager feed. And my other side hustle gig is Talking Marketing, which is a bi-monthly marketing podcast I do with AMA Boston, where I interview marketing folks about their work. So that one can be found wherever you listen to podcasts. It's called Talking Marketing. Magellan, can you do the plugs then for this week, please?
I sure can. You can get in touch with the show in a couple of different ways. You can email us at chatspod@gmail.com with your questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, recommendations, any other noun that is something you could say to us. You can also follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/chatspod, where you can DM us or add us or quote tweet us or something else. Whatever the Twitter things are. You can join communities of fellow listeners on reddit.com/r/chatspod and on our Discord, which is a benefit for everybody who backs us on Patreon at $1 a month and up. That Patreon is at patreon.com/chatspod. $1 gets you on the Discord, as well as a handful of random bonus episodes from our past. $3 a month and up gets you access to all future bonus episodes twice per month. And $5 a month gets you thanked right here at the end of every episode. Our $5 patrons are Arthur, Jen, Justin, Kat, Lee, my mom, Marcus, Michael, Nick and Pat of the Brothers in Infinite War, 6, and Stefan. Thank you, folks, for supporting the show. Other ways you can support the show besides with money is you can subscribe to us on YouTube. I forgot to mention that. Chatz, a television podcast on YouTube. You can rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us podcast-wise. You can recommend us to a friend who you think would enjoy the show. You can take a look at our website at chatspod.com. You can support at Camillastrator, who created our podcast art, our friend Camilla, who, made our logo, which is it's very nice. And you can also enjoy yourself this week with these chatsums, these recommendations we have for you to snack on between now and next time. Alan?
Yes, sir?
What in the heck is your chatsum?
Okay, maybe it seems like a cop-out answer, but it's my answer for chatsum this week.
Okay, I accept it already.
Take care of yourselves, even if you don't think you are worth it. And by that I mean, go ahead and dust off your desk. Go ahead and take a shower today. Brush your teeth. Stretch your feet before you get out of bed. go to make that doctor appointment you've been meaning to make. It's gonna feel annoying. It's gonna feel like work for a while, but I feel like myself and a lot of people in my community lately have been just like super duper down in like not necessarily preventable ways, but ways that can be mitigated through radical acts of self-care. You know, you have to choose to be nice to yourself, and that's very hard. I'm not saying you're good or bad for succeeding in that, but it's worth the effort. So I'm just reminding you, if you've been putting off something that'll make you feel good in the short or medium or long term, go ahead and do it. You deserve it. And that's from me to you. Mwah, kiss on the cheek. John, what about you?
My Chatz is a game, I guess a board game, party game kind of thing. It's, you know, one of these things where it's like you get stuff and you try to make the funniest one, and then people judge like which thing's the funniest thing. So if you like those sorts of things, I got one of those for you. And if you don't, you might not like this one. You might, I'm not sure. It's called Ransom Notes. And the way that it works is it's all those little magnetic words that you might like throw up on your refrigerator or something and make sentences out of. But you get this little kind of black rectangle, little metal tray. And everybody grabs a handful of words. You get a prompt where the prompt asks you to express some kind of sentiment or message. So, you know, it's like write a letter to your professor asking for them to do something. I don't know. They're funny. I can't think of a funny one. And then you basically have to try to make I guess it's called Ransom Notes because it's like clippings out of the magazine or whatever. I don't think that's a great name for what it is, to be honest. But it's more like you're creating the best version, the funniest version of that thing with the words that you actually have available to you. And it's pretty fun. I like it. So, and I'm someone who doesn't love Cards Against Humanity. Let's just put it out there to say what it is. I don't think that's a very fun game. I do think that this one is fun because it has a lot of flexibility and creativity baked into it. And you get to like play with the physical little magnetic bits, which is nice.
Bits.
So Ransom Notes, check it out.
Ransom Notes.
Yeah.
I love it. Magellan, I love you. And I want to say thank you for being the Helena to my Pop-Tart, because people pay you to cook me live on air.
Damn.
And thank you all very much for listening to this episode of Chatz of Prey.
Let him cook.
Stop. Let him cook.
Wait, what's the actual thing you say at the end?
Ah!
Oh.
I didn't want to do it. God, I listened to the pterodactyl noise in episode 1. I had to volume reduce it so much.
Excruciatingly loud. I loved it. Selser.